Hi everybody, this is Craig Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the Photo of the Week on the Daily Critique. This week's Photo of the Week was created by Jackie, who's an advanced photographer from Miami, Florida. Jackie was a recent participant in our Miami Photography Weekend. We have a push-pin show at each of our photography weekends. We choose a best in show and we feature that photographer and their photograph on the Photo of the Week on the Daily Critique, and we also take the names of the 6 photographers that are the winners of the Pushpin Show, put those names into a hat, and on April 18th we'll pull out 2 names, and those 2 winners will get new Lens Baby composers. I want to say a big thank you to Lens Baby for all the ways they generously sponsor the Mindful Eye, and I want to say a huge thank you to Jackie for submitting this beautiful image for the Pushpin Show in Miami and for being the best in show of the Pushpin Show in Miami. And now we're looking at her beautiful image here. Jackie says this photo was taken at Anastasia State Park in St. Augustine, Florida. She said it was late afternoon on a very sunny, cold, and windy day, and she took the photo from a boardwalk over this sand dune that has the sand fence. She says the sun was low and casting a very long shadow of the fence, and she thought it looked like the sail of a boat, and she framed the image that way to emphasize that shape. And she says she was mesmerized by the beauty of the colors and the ripples in the sand. She shot this with a Canon 5D, used an effective focal length of 24 millimeters, and chose ISO 200 f10 in 1/1000th of a second. Just love this image in so many different ways. A huge takeaway from the video today is just thinking about your camera position. You could say that in the most basic sense, photography is quality of light, where you put your camera, and subject management. And so many sort of nature shots like this, there is no subject management, so it's just down to light and where you put your camera. Just because of sort of the law of least resistance, it's so easy, particularly if we're shooting handheld, to just be walking along in an ordinary place and hold the camera at chest level and take a picture. And if you want to go beyond documentary, and I'm not saying that is the way to do photography, it's only one way to do it, but if you want to go beyond just documenting things, one of the easiest ways to do that is to choose a vantage point or a camera position that is extraordinary. It's not just chest level, it's not just standing there. You could get closer, you could get lower, you could get higher like Jackie is here relative to the subject. And this is a great example of a situation where so much of the time we think about, getting into an extraordinary position, we think it has to be so extreme. Jackie's not that high up here, but relative to the subject she is. And being able to shoot straight down on this subject, it's done a couple of things. It's really helped to simplify the scene. Obviously, so much of the time the ground is a very simple subject. When we shoot straight down, we simplify. And in this case, it's also created a partial abstraction that's really beautiful. Jackie has been able to frame this in a way where the fence and the shadow of it is now being represented as just a shape. And abstraction is about taking something and instead of showing it for what it is, starting to speak more about the intrinsic shape or form or quality of line. And the camera position here is really the main thing that's letting Jackie have the potential to do that in a powerful way. And also quality of light. This is one of many qualities of light that we can work with as a photographer. One of the points that I wanted to make today is to not try and drive home this box that we can put ourselves into, that we have to shoot early and late. This is, as Jackie said, very late in the afternoon. She has this really wonderful dimensional lighting, but that is relative to these subjects. So the quality of light relative to the fence and what she's trying to say about the shape of the boat sail, and also what she's trying to say about the ripples in the sand. These are tiny indents. It's going to take a very low light source to create the difference between light and shadow here, which is creating the illusion of form. So it's the perfect quality of light to do both things, create the feeling of the boat sail and this beautiful framing of the pattern here. But I just want to drive the point home that quality of light is relative to our subject matter, and that's also relative to what we're trying to say about our subject matter. And this is just such a great image where you could just say, boy, camera position and quality of light, here it is. To me, every time you take a picture, if you're wanting to go beyond the ordinary, again, it's worth saying again, I am not in any way at all saying that is the way to do photography. But if you want to do that, every time you take a picture, you could ask yourself the question, is this camera position interesting? Is it extraordinary? And is the quality of light working with whatever it is I'm trying to say? And we can take so many pictures without even thinking about those things. So just really encouraging you with those two basic parts of visual design today. This image has something else to me that's stunning, and that is really beautiful movement of color. It's almost like a really sort of simple color wheel. It starts with kind of this orange and moves into this very sort of rich buttery beige and this gorgeous blue. It has some hints of magenta or violet. It's really beautiful, sort of painterly rust, then back to the beige, and then back to the orange, and around again. It's a really stunning movement of color and a real classical layout here if you're thinking about dynamic rectangle already as the framing device, and then just the idea of placement of critical points of energy. This is totally in a dynamic place in the image, and just the relationship of the high contrast to all the other lower contrast. It's also an asymmetrical or dynamic setup. Something to me that's interesting about this image is just right when I looked at it, it's sort of an abstraction, partial abstraction, and because Jackie's shooting almost straight down on the subject, you could really present this in almost any orientation. So I just took it and turned it horizontal. This is almost even more surreal. We're used to seeing the sand fence like this, but now we're presenting it in a way where we're looking at the sand fence in some respects the way we normally would, standing up straight, but then that's the shadow. And I love this as a horizontal as well. And like I said, you could just about turn it in any direction. I think it would be really powerful. Something else I enjoy about this image is how simple and graphic it is, but when you get down to the lower part of the image, there are a couple of things that create a little bit of a feeling of tension, and I'd love to hear what people think about that. I think it's powerful. The fence here could come straight out of the corner, and I think that would be a little bit more of a formal, finished presentation. And this bit right here is different than all the other lines here. So I could sort of imagine an even more graphic crop where we cropped right here. But the power of a little bit of tension in an image like this that is so finished and so simple can really help the viewer to sort of keep coming around and kind of get the image stuck in their mind. And that's largely how I feel about the way the bottom right hand corner and the lower part of the image has been managed. I'd love to hear what other people think about that. Just a stunning image from Jackie. I want to say a huge thank you to her for participating in our weekend in Miami, and all the people that were there in Miami. We had such a great time. And want to say a big thank you to you for being here. I want to ask you to do us a big favor right here at the end of the video. If you're still following a Radiant Vista link to get to the Mindful Eye, we've been up for a year now, and I have to leave that page up. That's my page, but I've agreed to leave it up for, at this point, an undetermined amount of time as a courtesy. But we would really appreciate you bookmarking our site. You may be surprised if I gave you the statistics on the number of people that click through that gateway to get to the Mindful Eye, and you might think, well, who cares? It has an effect on us in terms of the way we're ranked for search engines. It also is starting to have an effect on us in terms of sponsors. The Mindful Eye is expensive to run. We have a lot of members now. We're getting close to 9,000 members. We have an enormous number of page views. But when you come through that other gateway, it actually affects our rank, which affects our ability moving forward to talk to sponsors about the actual number of people that are going to the Mindful Eye as a website. I'm saying all that to say, please, 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 I don't think I've asked the audience for anything in more of a direct way, to not use the Radiant Vista as a gateway to get to the Mindful Eye anymore. Please bookmark our site. Thank you for putting up with that plea to bookmark us. Love it if you'd link to us as well, or tell a friend about the Mindful Eye. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope to see you again real soon on the Mindful Eye.